All right. Back with another one of those block rockin' posts. So I wanted to do something other than a haul video, and I've been kind of wanting to do this for a while now. And this book right here is what led me to even thinking about this sort of thing. So I had for reasons I'm not going to get into, I had to take some time off from selling. And then when I went back to selling, I sold some stuff that I had brought to a little convention, and it was it was a rude awakening because I hadn't really been paying attention to prices, seeing what had happened to prices, and everything was selling for like 25 to 50% of what I had priced it at for that con. So like, and I did a bunch of auctions, and you know, I still I still turned a profit on everything, but it wasn't what it could have been had everything been dumped earlier. And it got me thinking about, and obviously things were crazy with what happened with COVID and all of that, and a bit of a boom and bust. But it also got me thinking about what I was purchasing and how I kind of wanted to pivot from hoarding the real speculative stuff. And if you think about it, if you think about it, everybody was to some extent hoarding the same books. And then everybody was trying to sell off the same books at the same time. And like a book like, what is it, Thor 165, the first hymn, a Warlock key. I didn't expect that to do as poorly as it did, especially with it being a Silver Age book. Like I didn't expect it to kind of flounder like some of the modern stuff we had seen. But so, anyways, prices were down, but I looked at this book that I had priced for the show, and it was selling, for about double what I had priced it for then. And it just got me thinking about how not everything in the market crashed. And, this is a Dave Stevens cover, Planet Comics, #1, Blackthorn Publishing. There's Adam Hughes tribute, cover swipe, whatever you want to call it, for this. That's the Dirty Pair Run for the Future. I believe it's #1 variant, and that commands a good amount of money. And Hughes is one of the hottest artists now, and so for Dave Stevens to influence Hughes, I feel like that's kind of saying something, as far as Dave Stevens' contributions. I'm not much of a I collect comics. I'm not much of a collector. Like I don't really do runs. I had started, a couple times I'd started some runs that I just thought would be fun to collect. And then like once I got to like a short box of one title, I'm like, what am I doing? Like I don't want more boxes of this title. And I kind of sputtered out, and so I became more of a like, maybe I'll do 1 through 10 of something, or whatever the case may be. A couple of my friends do runs, but they did X-Men, like, 1 to 300. Another friend did Amazing Spider-Man 1 to 300. Actually, I think he's number one is the Golden Records reprint. He doesn't actually have a number one yet. But both of them have done really well with their purchase price and what they're at now. And Dave Stevens is like the one thing that I wound up collecting. And it was strange how I got there. It was due to the fact that I wanted to get into Golden Age, and I wanted to get into Golden Age. Horror is the obvious choice, but it's just so pricey. I started looking into alternative ways to get into Golden Age comics. And I feel like Western is just dead. I eventually settled on trying to get into science fiction. And that led me to the Golden Age Planet Comics. And I decided that I'd start trying to collect that. And then that led me to finding this cover, which just led me down a rabbit hole with Dave Stevens. When I was in a speculation group, and new people would often ask what they should buy, what they should collect, what they should speculate on. And the most common answer was buy what you like. I honestly do about the opposite of that. Not that I don't buy what I like, but I don't search out what I like for the most part, because that leads you to targeting one thing, having to have that one thing, and probably overpaying, or at least paying market to get that one thing. Where I would tend to buy whatever seemed like a solid book that was undervalued. Because if you're purchasing with built-in equity, it's kind of like a no-brainer. It's hard to lose that way. In the biggest way to lose money in collecting comic books is by buying when something is hot. It's hard not to, but buying something when a movie's coming out is the surest way to lose money, or have to hold something for a long time just to break even. So with that said, I feel like there's a lot of ways that you can kind of pivot and get away from the mainstream for a sense. Oh, actually, but back to the question that was posed in the group. What should you buy, collect, or speculate on? Like I said, it was often the same answer. And the best answer that I ever heard was buy what you like, but make sure you like Silver Age Spider-Man. And it's one of those things. It's so solid. It has such a fan base. It has so many collectors. That's why my friends did really well with X-Men and Amazing Spider-Man, right? Even if people are speculating on it, there's enough collectors that are holding on to the books. There's enough people that love Amazing Spider-Man that it stabilizes that market and allows it to go on a steady incline. and when I got into Dave Stevens, like it most of his books, I forget what I paid for this one because I pulled the price off the back of it when I listed it at the con. But most of his books were online for like $15 a piece. And so for my birthday, I went on a little spree on eBay and bought, a bunch of the cheaper covers at the time, probably like 10 of them. And then from then, like I just started digging into like independent boxes in comic shops, and finding Dave Stevens for 50 cents, for $1, for $3. And I think part of the increase in value in Dave Stevens is that the Key Collector app has since made like almost every one of his covers a key. So people are just more aware of it. People are searching for it more. But I mean, still to this day, I'll find Dave Stevens for, 50 cents or whatever the case may be. So I think that, whatever you choose to collect, choose to buy, choose to speculate, to invest in, I feel like if you do a slight pivot from what everybody else is doing, and like if you're gonna collect, find something you like that not everybody is hoarding. You know what I mean? Try to find something that doesn't have huge print runs, or if it is gonna be super mainstream and you're gonna collect a run, like make sure it's Amazing Spider-Man, X-Men, Fantastic Four, Batman. You know what I mean? Like just like things that are gonna hold up. And like there's nothing wrong with the Wednesday Warrior trying to flip books, but I did that for a little while and I did great on some of it and some of it not so great, and it was just kind of exhausting. Trying to run around on Wednesday and find, go to 5 shops to pick up the hottest book. So that's kind of in a nutshell what I was thinking that day after I started listing those books, and figured that I would show off some of my Dave Stevens collection. So this is one that I got more recently. And like one of the things, like Dave Stevens, a lot of it is scantily clad women. But one of the things that stands out to me so much with Dave Stevens is the facial expressions. And that's what I see a lot of, that's part of what I've seen that or to me, what Adam Hughes has taken from Dave Stevens. Now, this one I got at a shop and paid market for. It's the only time I've seen it. Had to have it, I got it. This one I got as a birthday present, and this was full-blown market. This was recently, maybe even over market, but like I said, it was a birthday present. I looked at Comicron for the print run, and it was, I can't remember what it was offhand, but it was like 7,000 or less. I didn't even know this existed until recently. I found what I thought was an image of all of his covers, but some of them weren't on it. This was one that wasn't on it. This may be his last cover while he was alive. Bad Planet number 6. I think when I went on Comicron, the print run was like 7,000. or less, so I figured overpaying wasn't the worst thing on earth. Another one that I hadn't known about, recently found out about, Deviate #1, the Pride variant. And the cool thing about this is a Dave Stevens cover. And I don't know if you can see it here, but in the mirror is a reverse image of the AH exclamation. So this was a Dave Stevens, Adam Hughes collaboration, which I think is pretty cool. And honestly, it's far from my favorite Dave Stevens cover, but that in and of itself is pretty cool. And it was still slightly under the radar when I found out about it, so I was able to grab, a bunch of copies for, relatively short money. This is one that I added more recently. I tried to do a little bit of editing to it because I don't know YouTube protocol. And honestly, this is far from my favorite. And it's why I recently added it, because I honestly don't love it, but I'm kind of at that point where I need to start getting the ones I don't love. I definitely prefer this one over that one. And this is Verotic, the Danzig publishing company. I mean, aside from the nudity, whether that's your thing or not, this is a pretty sharp cover. Now I found these, I think I paid like $15 shipped for this, plus one, I had him throw in one other Verotic comic he had listed, just to round out the price. This is one I wasn't really aware of either. And some of them he only did inks or whatever the case may be. I'm not sure if that's the case with this. It's hard to tell on some of them, but I don't see the DS anywhere, which would lead me to believe that it was just inks. I grabbed these recently also. Betty Page, Queen of the Nile. I grabbed 1 through 3 from a seller. And as this one has sat around, it is definitely became one of my favorite Dave Stevens covers. And again, it's often the facial expressions that get me. So here's Queen of the Nile #2. #3. For some reason, this had got lost. I had to dig it out. It wasn't with my Dave Stevens. This was Grendel #4. I think this might be one he just did the inks on. That definitely doesn't look like a Dave Stevens cover to me. And it's funny how, some of these artist covers, like, really, like, the second you see it, you know who it is. And I think there's still like if artists are your thing, there's still, there's a lot of collecting avenues that can be done that way also. And obviously this is one I found for $1. And then this, all right, so this is just the Dave Stevens inks. I still have what I paid on the back. I paid 50 cents for it. Honestly, it's one of my least favorite, but so the Airboy #5 Valkyrie cover, that's done well. I've actually got a few copies, and that's the most I've paid. And honestly, I've sold off some of this stuff. I'm sure I paid like next to nothing for that one. And it's like the, you know, it's it's a bit of a sickness, because like even if I have it, I just keep buying them. So I've got duplicates of a lot of these. Pacific Comics Alien Worlds #4. And a lot of these I wound up like buying the other issues that they had that aren't Dave Stevens, just because like whatever, I got them all for relatively short money. It seemed to make sense. So this is one I got more recent also. Betty Page, Jumpin' Jungle Jive. I picked this up from a friend who knew, actually he's the one who does the ASM, who knew that this is what I collect. And it's one of those things where, you know, like he'll sell me books that he doesn't want to sell because I collect it, and I'll sell him ASMs that I don't really want to sell, or I'll sell the other kid X-Men that I don't really want to sell, because I know it's what they collect. So now here is Cheval Noir #1. Yeah, I mean, it's Dave Stevens. It kind of speaks for itself. There's not too much to say about this stuff. And again, like this one, so this is one that I think this is one that I ordered for my birthday. So I paid up for it. I paid $32 for that. It's probably one of the more expensive ones I got. This one I paid $22 for. But again, like they're all indie titles. Like Dark Horse is probably the most mainstream out of all of them. So you're able to find them random places pretty cheap. So this one, I think I paid $5 for. I may have paid 10. It has 10 in and it has 5 on the back. I'm not positive. Again, that's one that I could easily live without having, but it's Dave Stevens, so I needed it. Crossfire and Rainbow #4 of 4. Paid $7 for one copy. I'm not sure what I paid for that copy. It's another one. It's not my favorite. If you like Elvis, maybe you love it, but still gotta have it. This is you know, this is definitely one of the better ones. I mean, this guy standing over her with that facial expression is a bit creepy. I'm not sure what's going on here, and I'm probably not going to read it. But a Marilyn Monroe cover. I paid $14 for that. That's definitely one of the ones that I wound up ordering. This is actually a pretty tough one to find. DNA Agents #24. I'm constantly looking for this, and this is the only copy I've come across, and this one I found for 25 cents. You know, so that's the thing about finding something that's a little off the beaten path. Sometimes if you're in the wild looking for it, like you can get a bargain for it. So this is Elvira's House of Mystery #11. Great Dave Stevens Elvira cover. This one was an upgrade that I just got from that same friend. So I paid up for this one, but the one it's replacing, I paid $1.50 for. You know, and I'll probably get whatever, $30-$40 if I decide to sell it. And that will just translate into this being $1.50. Johnny Quest number 3, 75 cents. Johnny Quest number 5. I paid $8 for this. The most that I paid for any of those issues, this one right here, I paid 75 cents for. It's in better condition. But that one I decided to just grab because it was a newsstand and it's the only one I had ever seen. So Jungle Comics number 1, Blackthorn. I believe this one I paid $20 for from that friend. Here's the King Kong official adaptation. Decent Stevens cover. Found that in the wild for $2. And now this was 75 cents. I believe it's Madman number 4. Maybe it's number 5. Either way, this is the back cover. And it's way, way better than the front cover. Why it's not the front cover is beyond me. Mr. Monster number 2. And this is, and I've showed this before because I recently got it for like 50 cents or whatever the case may be. I paid $10 for that copy. That was the first copy I got, I think. I don't know. I've a bunch of them I've bought and you know, sold off some of the lower grade ones, so I'm not sure. But again, like just the facial expressions on the children is what I love about that issue. This I paid 20 cents for. Really don't know what's going on here. Is that a possum with a sniper rifle? I have no idea what's going on here. Definitely, for me, one of the bottom of the barrel issues. But again, it's still, regardless of what's going on in it, it's better than what I could buy, you know, for $4 new off the shelf or whatever the case may be. Here's my nicer copy of Planet Comics. Have no idea what I paid for that. I'm pretty sure I paid $60 for one of my copies. That was, you know, at the time me really paying up to get what I wanted. The Rocketeer with Steve Ditko. The Rocketeer stuff definitely doesn't command the same prices as his non-Rocketeer stuff. So, like, I'm at the point where I can leave Rocketeer stuff that I already have behind. Like I said, if I already have it. And so I don't know what is up with this, right? Like, these look exactly the same, but this one is like comic book style, and this is like prestige style. I don't know that I've ever opened it to see the difference, but So Star Slayer #1, I believe that's the first. There's an ad for Rocketeer in it. Star Slayer #2, the first appearance of the Rocketeer. This is one I'm fond of. I actually just ordered a new copy of this that has the 3D glasses and in better condition. Three-dimensional seduction. Don't miss the little dead guy here. That I paid $3 for. Great cover. Shadow and Doc Savage. Not sure what I paid for that one. It's another one I got doubles of. So, you know, any of those I paid, you know, very short money for. The 3D Sheena, Queen of the Jungle. This is one of my favorite. 3D Zone Space Vixens #16. And again, like most of it, there's really not all that much that can be said. Like, it's Dave Stevens. He just crushes he crushed every cover. And that's the thing, you know, he was taken from us early, so there's not, you know, his body of work isn't huge. But unless you want to just go on eBay and buy everything from market, the stuff can be pretty tough to find. And that's, you know, part of what made it fun for me to collect. So this is one I paid 75 cents for, you know, at a local comic shop. I got another copy here that I paid $1 for. Can't see it. There it is. Paid $1 for it. You know, and it's great and creepy and gross at the same time. Definitely 80s. This I don't see very often. I mean, I've seen it once and I bought it. And again, that's, you know, $15 is on the higher end that I paid for Dave Stevens stuff. I'm at the point where I'm like buying non-comic Dave Stevens stuff because I'm running out of stuff. I think once I do have every issue, I'll probably start trying to put them together high grade graded. World of Wood, Wally Wood. These I bought a set of 1 through 4. And so I paid $23 for the set shipped. I do not care about number 3 and 4, so I figured I paid $11 for this, $11 for that, and 50 cents for each of the other ones. I know this one in particular seems to be pretty sought after now. They say it's hard to find or something of that nature. Xena Warrior Princess #2. Now, I don't know what I paid for that. I paid 50 cents for one copy. I paid $4 for a set of 1 and 2. So again, like it's just, you know, if you're slightly off the beaten path, you can find something that's worth collecting, that you're not going to go broke collecting, and that, you know, the bottom isn't going to drop out of. Like, that's what happens with the speculation market. And again, it could happen with, like, you know, the new hottest artist or whatever the case may be. But like this, you know, this wasn't a new hot artist. so I think, you know, I might eventually make some other videos about it. But like, you know, it's the critical thinking process that you really need to exercise if you're not gonna lose money collecting comics. And like I said, I try to talk myself out of buying stuff and reasons why it's a bad idea before I decide to buy stuff. And like, granted, you know, if it's cheap enough, I'll buy any garbage, don't get me wrong. And occasionally I'll be like, I just have to have something. You know, but this is the stuff that I decided that I had to have. And I tried to, for the most part, get it as cheaply as possible. And let's be honest, if I had just paid market then, I still would have done all right. But most of it I paid under market, so you do really well. And so that takes some of it out of it if you can just be slightly frugal, show a little patience, and you know, be willing to pass on something you want until you find it. But yeah, again, a video that went way too long. I'm gonna try to work on that, and that'll be that for now. Thanks.